It wasn't the kind of secret one stumbled upon. This was a secret that had its own address, its own set of keys, its own life, breathing just 20 minutes down the highway. Eric, the man she thought she knew better than her own reflection, had another family, another wife, other children. The realization didn't dawn. It crashed. It was a physical blow, knocking the air from her lungs, leaving her gasping in the pristine silence of their supposedly perfect suburban home. The truth arrived not with a dramatic flourish, but with the mundane thud of the mail on the welcome mat. An innocuous phone bill, slightly thicker than usual, was the harbinger of doom. A strange number, repeated over and over, caught her eye. Her fingers trembled as she keyed in the digits. A woman answered, her voice cheerful, a baby cooing in the background. She couldn't speak. She just hung up, a cold dread seeping into her bones. The knock she was waiting for wasn't at the door. It was the internal, brutal knock of an unthinkable truth, a truth that had been living just down the road, patiently waiting to be discovered. Danielle, that was her, or who she used to be before the phone bill. Eric and Danielle were the couple everyone envied, or so she thought. They met in college, a whirlwind romance that felt like something out of a movie. He was charming, ambitious, with a smile that could melt glaciers. He made her feel safe, cherished. They built a life together, brick by painstaking brick, in a quiet, tree-lined suburb. Their house was a testament to this dream. A neat two-story colonial with a welcoming porch and a sprawling backyard where their children, 8-year-old Lily and 6-year-old Tom, played. Eric was the doting father, the supportive husband. He coached Tom's soccer team, helped Lily with her science projects, he remembered anniversaries, birthdays, brought home flowers for no reason. He was by all accounts a model man, the kind of man other women pointed to, telling their own husbands, "Why can't you be more like Eric?" The irony was a bitter pill, lodged firmly in her throat. The phone bill lay on the kitchen counter, an ordinary object transformed into a symbol of profound betrayal. It was for Eric's work mobile, a bill she rarely scrutinized. Why would she? Trust was the bedrock of their marriage, or so she had naively believed. But this month something compelled her to look closer. The itemized section was where the whispers began, soft at first, then growing into a deafening roar. A single number, repeated dozens, no, hundreds of times. Calls lasting minutes, sometimes hours. Calls made when he was supposedly at late meetings or on short business trips. She didn't recognize the number. Her heart began a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She grabbed her own phone, her fingers fumbling as she typed it in. It rang 3 times. Then, a woman's voice, warm and friendly, answered. "Hello?" she chirped, the sound of a baby gurgling in the background. Her breath hitched. She couldn't form words. She pressed end call, her hand shaking so violently the phone clattered against the granite countertop. Who was she? And why was Eric calling her with such relentless frequency? The questions clawed at her mind, each one more terrifying than the last. The discovery of the phone number planted a seed of doubt, a tiny malignant thing that quickly took root and began to grow its tendrils wrapping around her heart, squeezing the life out of her. Sleep became a distant memory for her, replaced by long, dark hours spent staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of their life together, searching for clues she must have missed. His late nights at the office, once a sign of his dedication, now seemed suspicious to her. His business trips, once a source of pride in his career, now felt like carefully orchestrated escapes to her. The internet became her unwilling accomplice. She typed the mysterious phone number into a reverse lookup directory. Her breath caught in her throat as a name and address populated the screen. Sarah Jenkins. And an address. An address in Oak Haven, a neighboring town just 20 minutes down the highway. 20 minutes. He wasn't just calling her, she was close. Close enough for frequent visits. Close enough to be a constant, parallel life. The name meant nothing to her. Sarah Jenkins. But the address, so near, felt like a deliberate taunt, a testament to his audacity. He had built another world, practically in their backyard. The next Saturday, Eric announced he was going golfing. It was his usual routine, or so she had always believed. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This was her chance. Lily and Tom were at a birthday party. The house was empty, echoing with her rising panic and a grim sort of determination. She sat in her car for what felt like an eternity, the yellow house a silent, damning indictment across the street. Her breath came in shallow gasps. What was she doing here? This was insane. Spying, lurking, this wasn't her. But the woman she used to be had vanished the moment she heard that other woman's voice on the phone. Now she was someone else, someone driven by a desperate need for truth, no matter how painful. She watched the front door, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. Any moment, it could open. Any moment, her world could irrevocably change. The suspense was a physical ache, a tightening in her chest. Then, the front door opened. A woman emerged, young, pretty, with a kind smile. She was holding a baby, cooing at it softly. Her baby, she thought with a sickening lurch, before correcting herself. Her baby. And then, a little girl, no older than 4, skipped out behind her, pigtails bouncing. She looked remarkably like Eric, the same dark curly hair. The drive home was a blur of tears and rage. The carefully constructed dam of Danny's composure had finally burst. How could he? How could any human being be capable of such profound, sustained cruelty? When she walked back into her own house, the silence was deafening. The photos on the mantelpiece, once sources of joy, now seemed to mock her. Their wedding portrait, his arm around her, his eyes full of promises. All lies, every single one of them. She waited for him, the anger coiling tight in her stomach, a venomous serpent ready to strike. The minutes ticked by, each one an eternity. He walked in just after 6, whistling, a grocery bag in his hand. "Hey honey, I'm home!" he called out, his voice cheerful, oblivious. The casualness of it, the sheer normalcy, was like a slap in the face. She stood in the living room doorway, her arms crossed, her face a mask of cold fury. He stopped when he saw her, his smile faltering. "Danny, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." Oh, she had seen more than a ghost, she thought. She had seen his other life. She had seen Sarah, she had seen his other children. The words caught in her throat, a bitter, choking knot. "Oakhaven," she said, her voice barely a whisper, yet it cut through the air like a razor. "Does Sarah Jenkins in Oakhaven know you're married, Eric? Does she know about Lily and Tom?" The aftermath was a maelstrom of pain and chaos. Telling Lily and Tom that their father wouldn't be living with them anymore was the hardest thing their mother had ever had to do. Their confusion, their tears, their innocent questions. "Is Daddy mad at us?" Tore her apart. How does one explain to a child that the man they idolize, their hero, is capable of such profound betrayal? She tried to shield them from the ugliest details, but the wound was deep, a gaping hole in the fabric of their childhood. Their trust, once so absolute, was fractured. Their home, once a sanctuary, felt tainted, haunted by his lies. Then there was Sarah. She didn't contact Sarah directly, the lawyers handled that, but she imagined Sarah's shock, her devastation. Sarah too was a victim, duped into believing she had a loving partner, a future. Her children, innocent and unknowing, were caught in the crossfire of Eric's deceit. Healing is not a linear process, it's a messy, painful journey, full of setbacks and false starts. Some days, she felt strong, resilient, determined to build a new life for herself and her children. Other days, the weight of the betrayal would crush her, leaving her breathless and raw. The image of that yellow house in Oakhaven, the face of Sarah Jenkins, the realization of Eric's other children, these things were etched into her memory, constant reminders of the depth of his deception. Trust, once so easily given, now felt like a precious, fragile commodity, something she might never fully reclaim. How could she ever trust anyone so completely again? The children too bore the scars. Lily became withdrawn, her bright spirit dimmed. Tom acted out, his confusion manifesting as anger. They started therapy, all of them, trying to navigate the treacherous waters of their new reality. Slowly, painstakingly, they began to piece together a new normal, a life different from the one they had known, but one that was theirs, built on honesty, however painful. The laughter started to return to their home, tentative at first, then growing stronger. They were survivors, not victims. But the innocence lost could never be recovered. The shadow of Eric's deceit would always linger. Eric's life, from what she heard through the grapevine, was a lonely one. He saw his children, both sets, on a restricted schedule, supervised visits that were awkward and strained. He lived in a small, sterile apartment, a stark contrast to the warm, loving homes he had once inhabited, and then destroyed. He was a ghost in his own life, a walking testament to the catastrophic consequences of lies. There was no satisfaction in his downfall, only a profound sense of waste.